What is up everyone, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, what we're going to be doing is my updated video on some of the best and easiest high ground retakes you can learn in Chapter 3 Season 4. These retakes are meant to be fairly easy to perform, so most players can learn them with enough practice, and they should be well protected and useful in game as well. Before we get into it though, if you find this video helpful, then be sure to drop a like on it, and consider subscribing as well if you want to see more content just like this in the future. And lastly, if you want to show some extra support, then consider using code TECHO in the item shop as well. It's 100% free for you, and it seriously helps me out a bunch. Thank you so much to everyone who's using it. But with that said, and without further ado, let's get into today's video. Alrighty guys, so here we are in creative and we're about to get into our first retake. So with that said guys, getting into this first retake, I really like this retake because it's super well covered. It helps you get in the opposite direction of your opponent, and it helps you get height super quick. So starting off this retake, just like most retakes I'm going to show you, it's going to start off with a scissor ramp, which is basically ramps above you and ramps below you, and you're basically going to ramp up until you have one ramp above and one ramp below like this. From here, depending on which side your opponent's on, you're going to want to block off the side that they're on with a wall, like just like that. Basically, you're just going to wrap walls all around you like that. Now from here, you're going to place a cone above the ramp above you, and then to the side opposite of where you built the walls, you're basically going to go ramp, floor, ramp, and you're going to jump up here. And from here guys, you basically just edit through here and you're home free. And once you get up here, you can pretty much do anything you want. You can continue building up with other retakes, or you can do something like a 180, 90s, or anything you want to do basically. And from the opponent's perspective, if they're up here like right next to you, it's pretty hard for them to actually catch you off guard, and you're getting height on them super quickly, and overall it's just a great retake. And you can do the retake to both sides as well. I did it to the right, but it's the same exact thing to the left, just like that, and then whatever you want to do to follow up. Ultimately, it's the same exact thing but mirrored on both sides, so depending on where your opponent is, you can do either way. But with that said guys, I'll go ahead and show you guys the retake in full speed right now. With that said guys, that's going to wrap it up for retake number 1, and now we're going to be getting into retake number 2. So what I love about this retake is that it's kind of like a reversal type of retake. What it actually does is brings you in the opposite direction of where you were building, so it can help to kind of outplay your opponent in that sense. So with that said guys, as always, we're going to start off with a scissor ramp like this, and we're going to go until there's one ramp in front of us and one behind us like this. So keep in mind, we're not building that extra ramp up there like we did for the last retake. No, it's just going to look like this. So moving on from that, we're going to be doing a Thwifo cone to start off. So basically what a Thwifo cone is you just throw up a bunch of walls, and just like that you put the cone up there. So as you can see, this gives you a really nice buffer here against your opponent. It basically builds a layer up above you, and that's obviously fantastic. So what we're going to do next is we're going to jump out to the side, and similar to the last time, we're going to do a ramp, and we're going to do a floor, and we're going to do another ramp. But instead of doing the ramp straight out to the side like this, what we're actually going to do is jump up here and get the ramp up like that. And then from here, you're just going to edit straight through this, and basically you're home free. If you do want to get a bit more advanced with this, then you can wrap walls around like that and then flip the ramp like that. That can work perfectly fine, but it is a bit more advanced, and this is a beginner retake video, so obviously that's not the main variation. But if you do want to spice things up a little bit and try something new, then you can definitely do that. But with that said, as always guys, you can basically follow this up with whatever you want to do. So some protected 90s could work perfectly fine like that if you're trying to gain height fast, or a 180 or regular 90s, or whatever you want to do. Overall, this is a super versatile retake. I find it to work super well, especially because it doesn't take that much mechanical skill to do, at least once you take the time to learn it, that is. And yeah, so I'll go ahead and show you guys the retake in full speed. With that said guys, moving into our third retake now, and this one's actually going to be a little bit more of like a piece control type retake. This is actually mainly meant for a situation like this where your opponent's right in front of you and they ramp above you. So basically it's like a beginner piece control type retake that I find really helpful. So what you're doing here is you're ramping up. Obviously you can be in a scissor ramp or a regular ramp for this one. And when your opponent's ramp is above you like this, what you need to do is basically build a wall in front of you, edit through it, and cone real fast. And then it's super simple. All you do is jump out to the side, wrap walls, and land on a ramp. And then from here, what I like to do is personally just go for an angle right there. And if I can't get that angle, then I'm basically just going to have them cone, and I can just crank up 90s or whatever I want to do and gain height. It's a super simple move, and it's kind of like a retake slash piece control maneuver that kind of like combines them. But it's really a great move, and I personally find it super useful. And of course, like most of my retakes, you can also repeat it to the other side just like this. And you're basically just walled off and you have a good peek on them. Now, both sides do work, but I will say that I personally prefer the right side because it gives you this right hand peek. And obviously if you go out to the left, then you have a left hand peek, and it's slightly less optimal. So if you can possibly do the right hand, then I would recommend you do that. If you have to do left, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, with all that said, I'm going to show you guys the retake in full speed. And for a quick alternative, if you don't want to go for the shot, then you can basically just edit through, cone them off, and then go out here and just straight up do 90s. That's a much better way to guarantee that you get height, but personally, I like going for the chip shot and trying to get some easy damage, and it's ultimately up to you which one you prefer though. So I'll also go ahead and show you guys that variation in full speed as well. With that said, guys, moving into our fourth retake, and we've got another really useful one. So starting off the retake, you can be scissor ramping or whatever you want to do. You can do a regular ramp as well. And basically, you're just going to build a cone right in front of you like this. So now that you have the cone up here, guys, what we're doing next is a side jump. But the thing is, with this side jump, it's going to be a lot harder because we're landing on top of the ramp instead of the floor. So what you want to do is you want to hug this cone really close and basically jump really close to it. So you want to be able to just turn to the side and boom. This is going to take a lot of practice. It's probably the hardest part of this retake, but it's really worth learning. As well as that, depending on your skill level, you do have the option to put a wall up here beforehand. And that way, when you do your side jump, you're a lot more protected. So next up, guys, now that you've done your side jump, basically what you're going to do is wrap walls around you just like this. And you're going to place a ramp above you as well. And from here, guys, you have any number of options. What I personally prefer to do is just go out to the side like this and just start doing 90s to get height. I do find that to be the most consistent approach, but you can also kind of go like this and do this type of retake deal. Or you can also do the kind of reversal thing that we talked about earlier, just like that, like switching up your direction. Whatever you decide to do, though, the main fundamental part of the retake is the side jump plus the wrap around, and then you can basically do whatever you want. So with that said, I'll go ahead and show you guys this retake in full speed. And as you guys saw there, what I did was I actually carried myself out here with floors. You can do that. That's perfectly fine. That's the way I actually typically do it. That and this are basically the same exact thing, to be honest. They're pretty much just two different ways of approaching it. So whichever one you find more comfortable. But overall, guys, that's going to be retake number 4. And lastly, guys, moving into our 5th and final retake for this video, and we've got a classic Tekko retake. I'm pretty sure I showed this for the first time like 2.5 or 3 years ago. Like, it's been a really long time. It may not have been that long, but it's definitely been a while. And this retake is super simple, super effective, and it's pretty easy to learn. So all you got to do for this is you just be ramping up whatever you want to do, and you're going to want to get into a situation where you have a ramp in front of you and behind you like this. From here, the process is super simple. You're just going to go in front of you with walls, and you're just going to wrap them around, just spam them just like that. So you want to look up really high and really low so you can get all these walls in there, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to put a floor below you and ramp up just like that. From here, you're going to edit through, and you can basically do whatever you want to do. If you want to do some 90s, 180s, or anything like that. I'm pretty sure what I first called this was a protected 180 because it is really just a super protected 180, and it gets you in a really good position to gain height. And as I said before, from this position, you can literally do whatever you want to gain height. You can do 90s, 180, or whatever. So personally, I typically just come from this and I just do a bunch of 90s and try to gain height. But yeah, guys, it's a super simple retake. It's pretty easy to learn once you get the hang of it. You just got to go really, really low and really, really high up. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll show you guys the retake in full speed. But yeah, guys, as I said, most of it is pretty self-explanatory. You just got to build the habit of getting really, really high up, really, really low down, doing that, and then you're basically safe. And let's just say you were ramping towards an opponent who is back here. Obviously, you can see it's super well protected. There's tons of cover. And then from there, when you do your 90s or whatever, they're going to be in a really difficult spot. So with that said, guys, that's going to wrap it up for our 5th and final retake. But with that said, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video on the most simple yet effective high ground retakes in Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 4. If you found this video helpful, then be sure to drop a like on it, and consider subscribing as well if you're new and want to see more content just like this in the future. As well as that, consider using code TEKKO in the item shop if you want to show some extra support. It's 100% free and it only takes a few seconds to type in, and it seriously helps me out so much. As always, thank you so much to everyone who's using it. But with that said, thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.